Good evening. In today's session, let's look at two industrial policies. One is Industrial Policy of 1991 and second one is the New Industrial Policy of 2023. Please remember very clearly, when it comes to the Industrial Policy of 1991, that was a part of the major economic reforms in India. We know that one. But if you look at the year 1991, today we are in the year 2024, it's more than 30 years. The world, what was in 1991 is not today. So there is so much of development with respect to the entire world now. That is the reason why when you are going for the new industrial policy, you have to take the existing circumstances into consideration. For example, if you look at our GDP, larger contribution is by service sectors. And when it comes to the manufacturing sector, that particular sector has been stagnated. So it does not mean that the number of companies are not increasing. Number of companies are increasing, but the percentage of the manufacturing sector in the total GDP is stagnant. But the employees are increasing. How? I am going to discuss with you all these things now. Plus at the same time, if you look at the current world, entire world is mentioning about the protection of environment. So when you are going for the manufacturing sector, when you are planning to enhance the industries in the country, you should also take certain measures for protecting the greenery, for protecting the globe, for protecting the earth, for protecting our environment. So like this, various aspects have come into the picture in the new industrial policy. First, let me give you some points regarding industrial policy of 1991. Of course, many we have discussed when we have discussed regarding economic reforms of 1991. We'll just go through that. Then we'll be jumping into the new industrial policy of 2023. Questions may be coming from 1991 or 2023. For both, we need to be ready. Look at this. Now, the first page of our discussion today is the industrial policy of 1991. Majority of the points you already know. We have discussed during, the economic reforms of 1991. Of course, this is a part of that. Look at this. So when it comes to the public sector role, government role has been diluted. Recollect all the points what we have discussed, right? So like LPG, everything you have to recollect. Now, when it comes to security and strategic sectors are under the government, meaning in majority of the sectors, private sector participation has been invited. But when it comes to the security and strategic sectors, the domination and the control was maintained by the government. I am discussing with you regarding 1991 industrial policy. Clear? Next. Industrial licensing was abolished. License Raj, recollect all the points. Except for those related to security and strategic concerns, social reasons, hazardous chemicals and environmental reasons. Except for these, with respect to all other areas, the license Raj has been abolished. Automatic clearance for projects where imported capital goods is required. This point also we have discussed at that particular time. Now kindly recollect, when we are discussing points like this, you should be recollecting what is the meaning of this capital goods. That is the reason why I always suggest you to follow my classes as it is in the same sequence, plus you have to maintain the notes. Now, in high priority industries, again we have discussed this, foreign direct investment FDI is automatically approved up to 51%. Clear? Kindly remember, I'm reminding you again and again that we are discussing about 1991 industrial policy. Clear? automatic agreement for foreign technology, because foreign technology is a must, because India, by the time 1991, whatever the technology that was existing, that was considered to be obsolete, outdated. Clear? Obviously you need to have the latest technology. So wherever you have the foreign technology which is the latest, that can be adopted or imported through automatic agreement. Similarly, MRTP Act will be amended to remove threshold limits of assets in respect of the MRTP companies. Kindly see here, we had an act called MRTP Act of 1969. Clear? That act is no more existing. Clear? Very very important one. But the industrial policy of 1991 mentioned regarding MRTP Act. Am I clear? One possible question that you may get in the examination is that, in which year MRTP Act came into force? Your answer will be 1969. Am I clear? Next. So next we'll be going ahead and discussing other points. Look at this. Yes, we have come across with our questions. Look at this. So the first question is related to industrial policy of India of 2023. We have been asked to consider the following statements regarding NIP, New Industrial Policy of India of 2023. What is this? This policy, which is in the works, is likely to focus on new industries and carbon neutrality. Very, 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 very important. Right? The world today is not the same as the world of 1991. I told you this point. So obviously, so when you want to enhance your manufacturing capacity in India, you have to establish more number of industries. But as we know, more industries will lead to more pollution, and more pollution will lead to more environmental degradation. That is the reason why we need to be very, very, very careful. That is the reason new industrial policy is concentrating on enhancing the manufacturing sector, at the same time to maintain the carbon neutrality, meaning the pollution whatever you are emitting, that should be as minimum as possible. Am I clear? So statement A is very much correct. Look at the statement please very clearly and closely. It is not just, just because we are mentioning about the industries, it does not mean that we are planning to enhance the number, quantity of the industries. It is not just that. At the same time, this policy should also be in a position to address the issues that are related to the environment, the issues that are related to the pollution. These points you have to keep in mind. Am I clear? Next. So statement A is very much correct. And when it comes to statement B, it endeavors, meaning NIP 2023 endeavors to make India a major manufacturing hub. This is one of the objectives of the national new industrial policy of India 2023. Very, 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 very important one. So statement B is also very much correct. Right? You may please read these statements again. Please note down these statements. From here you will be getting the questions in the examination. Clear? So what should be the answer? Answer should be both A and B are correct. Clear? Hope you are getting this. This is how you have to prepare for the examination. Next one, we have another question. And this question is related to industrial policy of 1991. Is that okay? Consider the following statements. So the industrial policy of 1991 was one of the boldest initiatives. Yes or no? We have discussed about the 1991 reforms. what was the economic situation of India, economic downturn of India, no money, right, no foreign exchange, right, and the country was about to be collapsed economically, and the country was about to get bankrupted. Yes, no, that is the reason why this industrial policy in 1991 was one of the boldest initiatives a government could ever take under a difficult economic situation. Very, 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 very important. This point also I told you, situation was worst economically, and there was so much of opposition with respect to the new economic reforms in India, right? So the private sector has opposed, opposition parties have opposed, but still the government of India headed by Sri P.V. Narasimha Rao, and also at the time the finance minister was the Dr. Manmohan Singh. They could take a brave step, clear, that was considered to be a brave step by taking those circumstances into consideration. So statement A is very much correct with respect to industrial policy of 1991. Am I clear? Next, it significantly dismantled the license Raj. Yes or no? Yes. And opened the door for FDI, heralded a major inflection point in India's economic landscape. Yes or no? We have opened the doors for the FDI, and that changed the India's economic landscape. So statement B should also be correct. Kindly see here, my dear friends, when you come across with these type of questions in the examination, don't get panicked. Don't get panicked. Keep yourself in a very, very cool and calm mode and read the question carefully. Don't worry too much about that 1 minute. So you may cross 1 minute, no problem. That can be adjusted in the later questions. But be very, very careful while answering these type of questions. Am I clear? What should be the answer? Option 3 should be the answer. Both A and B should be correct. Clear? Got it. Now let's look at, some change here. Okay, yeah. So when it comes to new industrial policy of 2023, we look at the points now. More than 3 decades after 1991 reforms, that comprehensive overhaul, the world is now very different. Clear? That is the reason why whenever you are making any policy, you have to take the existing circumstances into consideration, not the earlier ones. That is the reason why these type of larger policies like industrial policies must be framed from time to time. It is already late, 1991, and now this is the 2023, and we are in the year 2024. Am I clear? Very, 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 very important one. Clear? That is the reason why, and since we are living in the world of globalization, it is not just taking only India's aspects into consideration, but you should also take the entire global aspects into consideration. Very, 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 very important. That's the reason why when the government of India is making such policies, it's not that easy. You have to take many, 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 many things into consideration. Am I clear? Right? That is the reason why. So when India announced a policy, some countries may raise objection. Why? We get surprised. This is our policy, our own policy. So what is the pain that you are getting the other country? It is because those countries are talking in terms of the globe, in terms of the world, right? So nothing should disturb the environment. So that is the reason why other countries will raise objections. Am I clear? Very, very, very important one. Next, if you look at the next one, The latest reports indicate that an industrial policy, new industrial policy of 2023, it is called NIP 23, is in the works and is likely to focus on new industries. We have discussed carbon neutrality and endeavor to make India a major manufacturing hub. Very important one. The Prime Minister has already launched a program called Make in India. In tune with that one, India wants India to be a manufacturing hub. For that, what should be done? That has been given in the form of the policy. Clear? The expectation is that NIP 23 will align its focus on the world we are in today. This is really very important. Clear? Only to see that there should be no objections from other countries, right? So when you are planning for industries, manufacturing sectors enhancement, nobody will have any objection, but the objections will be there when there is so much of pollution, and that will contribute for more environmental degradation. That is the reason why we have mentioned about the carbon neutrality in this particular industrial policy. Am I clear? Very important. That is the reason why when you are making larger policies, you should also take the global aspects into consideration. Clear? Next one, if you look at the India situation now, service sector is contributing 54% of India's GDP, but whereas manufacturing sector has stagnated around 16% only. Am I clear? Very important. So kindly think on your own whether there is a necessity for enhancing and strengthening manufacturing sector in India. Yes or no? Obviously yes. That is the reason why Make in India program has been launched. Clear? Next, agriculture is contributing 15% of the GDP. Clear? But it employs about 49% of the workforce. Clear? Large number of employees are working here, but that sector is contributing only 15% of India's gross domestic product. Clear? Next, on the other hand, between 91 and 30 years, the share of industrial employment has gone up from 15% to 25%. Clear? So obviously, we expect large growth as far as the employment in the industries is concerned, but it has been increased from 15% to 25% between 1991 and 2021. So there is a huge opportunity. There is a larger opportunities for creating large employment in India. Am I clear? So obviously, once this particular NIP 2023 is implemented successfully, large number will be absorbed into the manufacturing sector. Am I clear? Next one, if you go to the next point, a Niti Aayog. What is Niti Aayog? We have already discussed. Recollect all the points again. Niti Aayog's document, Strategy for New India at 75, lists several initiatives to increase the manufacturing sector's contribution as a percent of GDP. Right? So what is the contribution of manufacturing sector in our GDP? 16%. So that 16% has to be increased. Yes or no? Clear? Now, but has mentioned various constraints. The problem here is that it is not the problem with respect to establishing new industries, but with respect to establishment of the new industry, so many restrictions, so many constraints are coming into the picture, like regulatory uncertainty. Investment is a constraint. Technology adoption is also a constraint. Challenges to ease of doing business, very important. Regarding EODB, we are going to discuss in the next session. Am I clear? Right? So these are all the constraints, and they have been highlighted by Niti Ayog's document. In the above concept, in the above context, NIP 23, New Industrial Policy 2023, needs to provide a pathway for manufacturing sector by bringing about holistic reforms, including linkages in areas such as infrastructure, logistics, warehousing, and power. That is the reason why it is not just making a policy. You have to take various aspects into consideration like this, and there is a need to be a combination of core and semi-core enablers to boost manufacturing through the complexities, though the complexities in making that happen are enormous. So in order to increase the number of industries, in order to increase the contribution of the manufacturing sector in GDP, the task is really enormous. There are so many complexities, but still India has to go ahead. Clear? So because we have a target of 2047, right? By the time India should become a developed nation. Clear? Next. So if you look at the next one, there are large number of issues that need to be addressed for the acceleration in India's manufacturing base. Clear? So what are these? For example, if you look at the one, the directive incentives, right? So you might have heard this word like PLI abbreviation. The government introduced PLI, production linked incentive. If you produce so much by the end of the first year, by the end of the quarter, by the end of 6 months, then incentives will be provided, because more you manufacture, more can be exported. Is that clear? Because we are planning to increase the contribution of a manufacturing sector in India's GDP. So obviously it is not just establishing the industry, but you have to manufacture. That is the reason why incentives are being provided to these companies, and these are production linked incentives. Clear? Across the key sectors to create manufacturing champions for an Atmanirbhar Bharat. So we should be self-reliant. Everything whatever we are importing, that should be manufactured in India. Then we depend less on imports and we can save so much of foreign exchange. Am I clear? So these are the ideas. One assumes that NIP 23 will identify products where the PLI should be extended, keeping in mind the China plus one opportunity. You should know what exactly is this China plus one opportunity. This is also called C plus one opportunity, where C stands for China. As we know, a large number of countries are looking towards China for investments. That is the reason why China is attracting large FDI. But how can India attract that FDI into India? That is possible by certain strategies. That strategy is the C plus one opportunity. What is that? See here. China plus one, also known simply as plus one or C plus one. So in the examination, if you come across with China plus one, that is same. If it is written as China plus one, that is also same. If you come across with the C plus one, the same thing. If you come across with the plus one, that is also same. This is a business strategy. They may ask you what is the C plus 1, China plus 1 opportunity. This is a business strategy. Clear? Next. Why? To avoid investing only in China and diversify business into other countries, or channel investments into manufacturing in other promising developing economies such as India. Why only China? So you can also come to India and invest in India. So create the strategies. Let the world know what are the strategies and what are the advantages of coming to India and investing in India. That is called C plus 1. And India is not just alone here. India, Thailand and Turkey, followed by Vietnam. These are all considered to be the promising developing economies. Clear? So this is how the new industrial policy of 2023 has come into the picture. Clear? Next. If you look at this last one, while a lower tax rate of approximately 17% applies to new manufacturing companies. Kindly remember, we know what is a tax and a tax structure. Here we are mentioning about the taxes that are imposed on, the industries. So those taxes must be as low as possible only to attract the investments. Clear? So though the government is reducing the taxes from these new industries, those manufacturing, the companies are manufacturing here, that is leading to enhancement of employment opportunities here, and that is leading to the increase of the production. That will also lead to increase of exports. Clear? Right? It should be extended to new manufacturing units as well. To curb the complexities, the concessional rate of tax is available only if manufacturing has commenced by March 2024, meaning government is in a hurry. So government is making that all clearances will be provided to the manufacturing company, and you have to start that the production must start by 2024 March, right? We are in the month of June. However, given the required thrust on manufacturing, NIP 2023 could seek to extend the date by 2 to 3 years periods, right? So if you just say you have to start by March 2024, some companies may be taking that opportunity, but some companies will think over. That is the reason why this may be extended by 2 to 3 years. Next is the land resources. At a broader level, the availability of large tracts of land with clear titles is a major constraint in setting up the manufacturing units. Yes or no? Resources, they are very scarce. Clear title, getting such type of lands is a really difficult task. Maybe you take any state. That is the reason why it is becoming a huge exercise for the government to provide land to the private sectors. Clear? Right? If something goes wrong, if the title is not clear, then there will be an issue in the the courts, right? But no company wants such type of issues. If you provide land to us, give the proper infrastructure, we will come and will establish the industry and will start the production. Clear? Very, very, very important one. Additionally, India's land record digitization initiative has some major lacuna, and physical mode of registration is extremely cumbersome. So these are all the problems that are existing, and all must be addressed by the government. Clear? So this is about the industrial policy of 1991, and this is the new industrial policy of 2023. Kindly remember these points. From these areas you will be getting the questions. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next session. Take very good care.